Welcome to Women Tennis USA. I am your host, and today the story unfolding across the tennis world is one that few believed could happen, yet it did, right there on the court, in full view of history, pressure, and expectation. Coco Gauff just did the impossible, and the echoes of what she achieved are still ringing through stadiums, locker rooms, living rooms, and conversations everywhere tennis is loved. From the first bounce of the ball to the final point that sealed it, this was not merely a match, not merely a win, but a moment that redefined belief in what is possible for an American teenager turned global star. Coco Gauff's journey to this moment has been watched closely since she first appeared on the biggest stages, a fearless young player with braided hair, an unshakable smile, and a game that seemed years ahead of its time. Yet even with all that promise, even with the hype, even with the expectations placed on her shoulders, what happened on court transcended projection and prediction. The impossible is a word rarely used carefully in sports. Tennis, in particular, has a long memory, a sport that respects numbers, titles, records, and eras. Impossible feats are reserved for moments when logic collapses under the weight of human will. What Coco Gauff achieved belongs in that category. She faced not only an opponent of elite caliber but also the psychological and historical barriers that have undone countless talents before her. This was a test of nerve, endurance, adaptability, and belief. For American women's tennis, the significance cannot be overstated. The United States has produced legends, champions whose names are etched into the sport's mythology. With that legacy comes pressure, the unspoken demand that the next generation must not only compete but dominate. Coco Gauff stepped onto that court carrying that inheritance, and instead of shrinking beneath it, she expanded it. From the opening games, there was a visible intensity in her movement. Her footwork was sharp, her anticipation precise, and her shot selection bold without being reckless. This was not the performance of a player hoping to survive. This was the performance of a player intent on imposing her will. Each rally told a story of preparation, of lessons learned from losses past, of maturity gained in the unforgiving spotlight of professional tennis. What made this performance impossible in the eyes of many was the context. The opponent brought experience, tactical depth, and a reputation for thriving under pressure. The setting amplified every mistake, every triumph. The stakes were enormous, not just in terms of ranking points or trophies, but in what the result would symbolize. Coco Gauff was not supposed to win like this, not yet, not here, not against this level of resistance. Yet tennis does not care about supposed timelines. It rewards those who seize moments, and Coco Gauff seized hers with both hands. Her serve, often scrutinized and analyzed, held firm when it mattered most. Under pressure, she found first serves, mixed pace intelligently, and used placement rather than sheer power to disrupt rhythm. Her return game, already one of the best on tour, reached another level entirely, neutralizing advantages and turning defense into offense in a heartbeat. Rallies stretched, points elongated, and still she stood her ground. There was a calmness in her demeanor that spoke volumes. This was not youthful exuberance alone, this was composure built through experience. She absorbed momentum shifts without panic, responded to setbacks without visible frustration, and maintained a level of focus that belied her age. As the match progressed, the narrative shifted. What began as an intriguing contest evolved into a demonstration of resilience. Every time doubt might have crept in, Coco Gauff answered it with a clean winner, a perfectly timed approach, or a defensive get that drew gasps from the crowd. She turned pressure into fuel, feeding off the energy around her rather than being consumed by it. For fans watching across the United States, this was a moment of collective pride. American women's tennis has always thrived on characters as much as champions, and Coco Gauff embodies both. She carries herself with humility, speaks with thoughtfulness beyond her years, and competes with a fire that resonates deeply. Her victory was not just hers, it felt shared by everyone who has followed her journey from prodigy to contender to something even greater. The impossible nature of this achievement also lies in its timing. Tennis history is filled with players who flashed brilliance early only to falter when expectations mounted. Coco Gauff has done the opposite. With each season, each high-stakes match, she has added layers to her game and her mentality. This performance was the culmination of that growth, a statement that she is not merely participating in the present but shaping the future. Throughout the match, there were moments that will be replayed endlessly. A lunging backhand down the line at a critical juncture. A fearless second serve on break point. A rally that seemed lost, only for her to retrieve one more ball, and then one more, until the point turned in her favor. These are the moments that define champions, the moments when talent meets courage. Observers could not help but draw comparisons to great American champions of the past. Not because Coco Gauff mirrors them exactly, but because she carries that same aura of inevitability when she is at her best. There is a sense that when the stakes are highest, she wants the ball, she wants the moment, she wants the responsibility. That hunger is rare, and it cannot be taught. The reaction from the tennis world was immediate. Former players, analysts, and fans alike recognized that something extraordinary had occurred. This was not just a win, it was a breakthrough that alters perception. Coco Gauff is no longer discussed solely as a future champion. She is a present force, a player capable of doing the impossible when it matters most. For young players watching, especially in the United States, this performance carries immense weight. It sends a message that belief, preparation, and resilience can bridge gaps that seem insurmountable. Coco Gauff's path has not been without obstacles. She has faced criticism, setbacks, and the relentless scrutiny that comes with early fame. Instead of allowing those pressures to define her, she has used them as stepping stones. The match also showcased the evolution of her tactical intelligence. She adjusted patterns mid-match, recognized weaknesses, and exploited them with precision. This is the mark of a complete player, someone who understands that tennis is as much a mental chess match as it is a physical contest. Her ability to problem-solve under pressure was as impressive as any shot she struck. As the final games unfolded, the atmosphere tightened. Every point carried weight, every rally held the potential to swing momentum. Coco Gauff remained steady. Her body language never wavered. When the final point arrived, it was not met with disbelief but with a sense of fulfillment. She had earned this. She had worked for this. She had made the impossible real. In the aftermath, the significance of the moment continued to grow. This victory reshapes the landscape of women's tennis in the United States. It signals a passing of momentum, a confirmation that the next generation is not only ready but capable of leading. Coco Gauff stands at the forefront of that movement, not as a symbol of potential, but as proof of achievement. This moment will be analyzed, debated, and contextualized for years to come. Statistics will be cited, comparisons drawn, and narratives constructed. But at its core, what Coco Gauff did on that court was simple and profound. She believed. She fought. She executed. And in doing so, she reminded everyone why sports captivate us so deeply. The impossible becomes possible when preparation meets opportunity. Coco Gauff prepared relentlessly, both physically and mentally. When the opportunity arrived, she did not hesitate. She stepped into the moment fully, embracing the challenge rather than fearing it. That courage is what separates good players from great ones. As the tennis calendar moves forward, expectations will continue to follow her. There will be new challenges, new opponents, new pressure. But this performance has changed the conversation. Coco Gauff has shown that she can rise above circumstances that once seemed overwhelming. She has shown that she belongs among the elite, not in the future, but now. For American tennis fans, this is a moment to savor. It is a reminder of the depth of talent, the power of perseverance, and the thrill of witnessing history unfold in real time. Coco Gauff's achievement is not just a highlight, it is a landmark. In the broader context of women's sports, her success resonates beyond tennis. It speaks to the impact of opportunity, representation, and belief. Coco Gauff carries herself with a sense of purpose that extends beyond the baseline. She understands the platform she stands on, and she uses it with grace and conviction. What she did on court was impossible only until it wasn't. That is the beauty of sport. Boundaries exist only to be tested, records only to be challenged. Coco Gauff tested them all and emerged victorious. As we reflect on this moment, it becomes clear that we are witnessing the rise of something special. This is not the end of a story, but the beginning of a new chapter. Coco Gauff has announced herself in a way that cannot be ignored. She has changed expectations, shifted narratives, and inspired belief. The echoes of this performance will follow her, but they will also inspire others to chase their own impossible moments. That is the true legacy of what happened on that court. It is not just about a win, or a title, or a ranking. It is about the realization that with courage, discipline, and heart, the impossible is always within reach. Here on Women Tennis USA, we will continue to follow this journey closely, because moments like these define eras. Coco Gauff has stepped into hers, and the tennis world is watching.